Welcome to this very interesting series that we're going to be testing out my old computer, which is an there's a lot of traffic here, which is an i5-8600K with a 1080 Ti card. We're in New York, okay, and these are my settings. I'm going to put them on the screen now. I'm going to be using these exact same settings for both this system, which is my old system, and my new one. So if I am wearing something different in the next part of this video, that's why, because I'm doing this ahead of time to save myself swapping between computers. So actually I've never flown in New York in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I know it's a massive area, photogrammetry and crazy on performance. I've taken off asynchronous time warp simply because I don't want any interference with frame rate, okay, because it might lock to its desired frame. What you're seeing is the max that my frame rate can run, and I'm using the Quest 2 as well, which really is, it's harder to run the Quest 2 than it is on the Reverb G2. That's why I've chosen this headset for this particular test. So it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? So as I say, this is an i5-8600K running at 5 GHz, so it's running pretty quick, or thereabouts anyway, and we're running on a 1080 Ti card, and my pedals are not plugged in. Oh crap. Okay, give me a second, I'll be back in a moment. God, I'm such a noob. Okay, I'm back again. Right, my pedals are all now assigned. This isn't supposed to be a pretty video, guys. I've actually, as you can see, I've got the native display on, which shows my frame rate. This is all about testing. It's about frame rate across two very different generations of computer. On the one end, I've got an i5-8600K, and then on the other end, I've got a beastie 10th generation i9-10900K running a 3090. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see if there's any performance gains at all. I'll make sure I get in the air there. That was nearly a very bad accident on the runway. And this is a sort of worst case scenario. I'm in the Quest 2 full native resolution, okay? And look at this, we're going down to New York City. So I'll pick this up a little bit later on once we are flying over the city, just so that this video doesn't become too long. So I'll see you in a second. So here we are in New York City, and oh my god, this feels incredible. You'll actually know what the frame rate is more than me, because all I can see is an annoying dialogue box to my right hand side. It's quite uncomfortable because it's right in my vision, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to ignore it and just focus on what this test is all about. At the moment, I'm guessing, I might be wrong, but I'm getting around 20 frames per second, which, judging by the fact that I'm in the Quest 2 and I'm filming with OBS on this computer, that's pretty good actually. It's flyable, it's not too bad. So it'll be really interesting what this will be, you know, what kind of frame rate I'm going to get with my new computer. And thankfully you're not going to be able to wait too long. You can just wind the video on and find out, but for me it's going to be a couple of days before I get the new system. But yeah, so as I say, we've got asynchronous time warp off. The settings are all going to be the same. I'm going to even set the weather exactly the same as well. And I'm actually quite surprised how well my sort of previous computer is able to handle this. Not too bad at all. What we'll do, we'll do the same thing on the with the new computer. We're just going to go really low over these buildings. In fact, we'll choose this area here, just out of the way. And of course, I'm not getting motion projection at the moment. I've taken that off to ensure that the frame rate is exactly what it is. It's not being interfered by any locking of the tray tool. Okay, so we get really close here to these buildings. Wow, this is really quite incredible, and just shows you that, you know, you don't need an absolute beastie computer to be able to get away with running VR in this sim. Although, you know, it is quite stuttery, admittedly, but you know what I'm doing is the worst case scenario, to be fair. Okay, so I think that's all we'll do for this, and we'll head back to the airfield. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the brand new Uber machine, which is the i9 10900K overclocked to about, I think it's 5.2 gigahertz with a 3090. Let's see if we get any difference. 3, 2, 1. So guys, welcome back to the next part of this video. We're now running the 10900K 3090 machine with the exact same settings, same weather, same aircraft, using OBS to record, which unfortunately does sap at least 7 frames per second. So let's go for a fly. But already I can feel my sort of movement, even just with my head. It feels very smooth. I don't really know what frames I'm getting. I can see a massive dialog box in front of me, which is really annoying, like before, but I can't really see the frame rate, so I'll have to just have a look here. Oh, actually, that is surprising. So we're getting about 34, 35 frames per second, whether before we were down to about 12 frames per second at one point, so that's interesting. But anyway, we're going to take off here at LaGuardia and fly over New York. Helps if I take the parking brake off. There we go. So yeah, how does this feel? Wow, I mean, it's pretty obvious already that this is a lot smoother. But just to say as well that I haven't overclocked this 10900K. My previous machine, the 8600, was running at 5 gigahertz, and I've got a feeling if I overclock this to 5.3 gigahertz, which you can do, especially as my CPU cooler is water cooled, I have a feeling that will make a big difference as well. But for this test, I'm just keeping everything stock. I've just bought the computer. I don't really want to be overclocking it right now. I'm a little bit nervous about doing it, if I'm honest. So, and to be honest, this is pretty damn incredible. Actually, this feels really, really smooth. As I say, same settings, everything exactly the same as before. I'm even using the same NVIDIA driver as well to try and keep this relatively scientific. Anyway, let's go over to New York. Do you know, the Quest 2 has such a great resolution. It really does. It's very, very nice. I really do like the larger sweet spot in it. And I have actually noticed as well that the RTX series graphics cards, whether this is the same with the 2080 Ti card, seems to be able to cope with the decoding a lot better than the 10 series variants. It's just snappier. Like when I enable Link, it's straight in to the Oculus Home. It doesn't have to take a while. And sometimes with my old computer, it just wouldn't start, and I'll have to kind of seat the USB port and switch it on and just mess around with it for ages, and then it was fire up into life. But I think I'm running a 3.2 USB slot, which is a very fast USB. That makes a difference. Will do, thank you. This is feeling very nice.
Victor Romeo Foxtrot Sierra.
Yeah, this is a big difference in performance here. I mean, at one point I noticed we did get to about 15 frames or less, and we're at 32 frames at the moment, and that's recording as well. So we're getting about a 60% increase in performance, which, I mean, I'm surprised at that, actually, if I'm honest. I'm very surprised simply because Microsoft Flight Simulator is not optimized yet for all the cores that my 10900K can provide at the moment. And with DirectX 12 and with once NVIDIA sort their drivers out, because that's still a bit of a mess at the moment, especially for the 30 series cards, it's going to make a huge difference. But wow, this is a completely different experience to what I had before. Oh, there was a little micro stutter there. By the way, I'm using the same SSD drive. I have got an M2 SSD drive, and I am going to be using that at some point, but I couldn't be bothered to reinstall the sim, quite honestly. And actually, I think it's better this way because you get more of an idea of performance. Oh, wow, this is feeling really nice here, guys. Seriously. Look at this! Oh my god, this is incredible! Oh, yes! Yeah, this is a massive difference in performance. I mean, it's not always about the raw frame rate either. It's about the consistency of those frames. That's the important thing. And if you're watching this and you're a gamer, you're thinking, my god, 30 frames per second, that's nothing. But trust me, for flight simming in VR in the worst area possible, it's actually good and it feels smooth, and that's the important thing here. I really hate how OBS sucks so many frames. It just completely, it saps them, because it really does affect the result. But nevertheless, I think it's pretty obvious here that we're maintaining here about 33 frames per second. I have to say though, the Quest 2, even with this Uber machine, still needs more juice than the Reverb G2 at native resolution, which is quite extraordinary really. But the upshot is, if I enabled motion projection now, I'd probably be able to get away with this, putting the sim at ultra and going down to sort of really low frames, about 20 frames per second, with it being quite smooth. And I might try that in a separate test. But there we are, that's pretty obvious, and I'm going to keep flying around here, guys, sorry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the video, because I've got a feling I'm going to be a while, because this is so amazing. And next time you'll see me, we'll be back with the 8600K machine, 1080 Ti, and we're going to try London next, pre-update. So we're going to try it to see what differences we can find there. So I'll see you in a moment. This is so good. So there we are, there's the results of the first test, and I have absolutely no idea how it went, because I'm still in the past right now. I'm at London City, and I thought I would load that up from New York. That was a bad idea. My computer completely crashed. It just couldn't handle loading. It took about 10 minutes and then everything froze. But anyway, we have now made it to London City. We're back using the 8600K with a 1080 Ti card with the same settings, same weather. And I've got a feeling frame rate is actually worse, believe it or not, than well, I think it is. I don't know. As I say, you'll know more than me, but I think we're getting probably just below 20 frames per second. So again, same test. We're just going to take off here and head towards the city. This is pre-update. I don't know when the UK update's going to land, but rest assured, I'm going to do a series around the UK. So I'm looking forward to that very soon. It might have already dropped, I don't know by the time this video gets out. But this is just the scenery before that update, because that might actually affect performance as well. Anyway, so here we are, Quest 2, London, which is another horrible area for frame rate. It is an X-Plane as well. And by the way, I'm also going to be doing these same tests in X-Plane 11 and DCS as well, with again the same settings that's on this computer, because there's no point cranking up settings. We need to find out what the difference is in the actual frame rate between these two systems. The only way I can do that is by doing the exact same flight, same settings, same headset, and the same settings on this as well. That's crucial. So there's the O2 arena, looking very nice indeed. And yeah, we'll crack on. And actually, even if I am flying in this next part of the video with the updated UK scenery, if anything, it'll be harder on performance, so it'll give the i9 even more even more of a test, I suppose. I love this sim so much, guys, I really do. I've been flying a lot in X-Plane recently though, and enjoying that as well with the Thrander Beaver. Just finding all sorts of different lakes, you know, in all over the world, and just enjoying that aircraft. It's fantastic. So, yeah, again, it's flyable. And by the way, these low frame rates, the reason why I can get away with them is because I'm using an Oculus headset, which does make a difference. The software is much better than the Windows Mixed Reality platform.
Delaware Foxtrot Sierra Golf, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Why, thank you.
City Tower Day or Victor Romeo Foxtrot.
No mention
Sierra
that I'm
Golf,
flying really low over London. So it looks like we're getting away with this here. So yeah, you know, it's a bit stuttery. It's not the best, if I'm honest. But you can do it. You can get away with it like we are right now. There's the shard. It is a bit stuttery, but you can get away with it with the settings that I've got. And these are settings that I've taken forever to get to this point. As you know, I've done loads of setup guides for all 3 headsets. I've still got the Rift S, by the way. I haven't sold it yet. I don't know, I still want to kind of just keep hold of it for a little while longer. But yeah, so these settings have been honed over years, it feels like it, over weeks and weeks of tweaking in this sim, and these are the results. Very, very nice indeed. Gorgeous views. Wowzers. And that is it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to head back to the airport now, because we're going to now do the exact same thing, but with the new Uber machine, as it's now called. So, again, I'll see you in 3, 2, 1. So welcome back for the final part of this test, and I hope you're enjoying it, because I really do feel this is quite an interesting test. Simply because this is raw frame rate. I'm showing everything as clear as possible. And you know what? I always find London City, whatever sim you're in, to be really hard on frame rate. I think a lot of it is because of the water effect of the Thames, and then you've got all those high-rise buildings. So just so you know, guys, this is before the UK update, because I wanted to test both back-to-back. So I'm pleased to say that this will be a little bit more useful, because once the photogrammetry sort of 3D scan stuff is in, which I'm looking forward to trying, that's going to have its own impact on the performance again. So we don't want to be messing with our results here. So I trying my hardest to get this video out before that happens. Here we go. So this again feels very smooth. I think I remember last time, because it was 2 weeks ago, funny enough, the test I did in London, but I do remember it was about 17-18 frames we were getting. You can see here we're just touching 30 frames. Do you know one thing? You know when you go in and out the Quest 2, the sweet spot's so good that it doesn't really matter even if you're slightly off. It's very good. So anyway, we're going to bank left and fly over the city just like last time. But this is feeling really nice. I think overall I'm getting about a 15 to 20 frame rate increase with this new computer, and that is stock speeds as well. I really do believe that if I was brave enough to overclock it, because the 10900K can, you know, reach the dizzying heights of 5.3 gigahertz, I do think that would make a difference. But maybe that's another video for another time. We'll keep things as they are for this. There's the Shard in the distance there, and London O2 Arena. I remember when I once went there to watch Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson do a concert. That was an ace gig. I really enjoyed that gig. Yeah, anyway, so what can I say? I mean, the frames feel really good. Yeah, it's actually interesting. This is more of a taxing area. So like I just said, this is a more taxing area than the photogrammetry in New York. How is that possible? But I do think a lot of it's because of this winding river. It's just the ultimate stress test. It really is. And I've already done this in the Revo G2 and showed a video of it on the channel. And I can reach 35 frames per second whilst recording with the Revo G2 with higher settings than this. So that shows you that the Quest 2 really does need a lot more juice, even from my RTX 3090. But I've got to say that on link, it's a joy to use.
Foxtrot Sierra Golf, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
And I'm afraid to tell you guys that actually I've now sold the Rift S because of this headset. It's just so good. I'm not impressed with it now. It's just a great all-rounder. So yeah, this is feeling pretty damn good, to be honest. Knowing as well that I can lock the motion projection down really low excites me no end, because I could actually up my settings here. But wow, yeah, we're down. Yeah, so we're at 27 frames per second. It is. London is just one of those areas that kills performance. Such a great view that out there. Amazing. Right, so I think really, to be honest, we've got everything we need here. Overall, I do feel it's a good 50% increase, I would say, overall, on the performance I was getting with my other machine. And that is early days. The hardware that I have is kind of it's going to improve over time, particularly with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that will include your computer, guys. If you've got a sort of lower mid-range computer and you don't really want to upgrade and you're getting a fairly decent level of performance, don't bother, guys, because things are going to get better all the time anyway. You don't need a 3090 Ti, the 3090 Ti. Oh, what am I talking about? A 3090 card. You don't need one, okay? And I would recommend, to be honest, a better value for money deal right now is to get one in a PC build, because you're going to need a decent CPU to go with it. But I am more than happy with what I'm getting here. I didn't expect this. I really didn't. This is very nice indeed. Yeah, this is cool. Worst stress test area. Doesn't get any worse than this, and this is fine. So there you are. That concludes our first test. The next video you'll either see will be DCS doing the exact same thing, comparing the two systems, and X-Plane as well. And yeah, it's really interesting trying these sims and seeing how the sort of the performance of my machine, when you're thinking about the software and the optimizations in the sim, how that all plays out. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon.